what she does when she's attracted but won't admit it. There is a moment most men experience, but almost none understand. A woman laughs a little longer than necessary. She looks at you, then suddenly looks away. She becomes warm, then distant, then warm again, and you walk away thinking, if she liked me, wouldn't it be obvious? But attraction rarely announces itself clearly, especially when she doesn't want to admit it, not to you, and not even to herself, because attraction creates tension, and tension forces a psychological decision. If she acknowledges attraction, something changes. Her emotional control shifts, her identity adjusts, and her sense of safety becomes uncertain. So instead of expressing attraction directly, she manages it. She hides it behind behavior. Today, we'll be breaking down 7 subtle psychological behaviors women show when attraction exists, but admission feels risky. Not flirting tactics, not dating tricks, but the deeper psychological signals beneath behavior. Because attraction is rarely spoken, it leaks. Before we begin, understand something most men never learn. Attraction for women is not only physical, it is emotional regulation. A woman is constantly evaluating one unconscious question. How does this man affect my nervous system? Does he create calm? Does he create curiosity? Does he create emotional uncertainty? And, paradoxically, uncertainty mixed with safety is what creates attraction. This is why emotionally steady men often trigger reactions. Women themselves struggle to explain a concept echoed in psychological attraction dynamics, where presence communicates internal stability rather than performance. When attraction appears unexpectedly, it disrupts her internal balance. So instead of expressing desire openly, she tests reality indirectly. And that leads us to the first sign, SIGN1. She watches you when you're not looking. Attraction begins in observation, not conversation. If she's attracted but resisting it, she studies you silently. You'll notice something subtle. You catch her looking only when you weren't supposed to notice, and the moment eye contact happens, she disengages quickly. This is not shyness. It's psychological scanning. Her brain is asking, how does he behave naturally? Is he different when attention isn't on him? Is his confidence real or performed? People reveal authenticity when unobserved, so attraction in its early stage becomes curiosity. She watches how you speak to others, how you react under pressure, whether you seek validation or remain grounded, because attraction grows faster toward emotional stability than toward effort. She isn't deciding if she likes you yet. She's deciding if liking you would feel safe. SIGN2, she becomes slightly contradictory. One day she's warm, next day she's distant, then suddenly playful again. Most men interpret this as mixed signals, but psychologically, it's internal conflict. When attraction appears without conscious permission, two forces collide, interest versus control. Part of her wants closeness. Another part wants emotional independence, so behavior oscillates. She pulls closer, then restores distance. Not to manipulate you, but to regulate herself. Because admitting attraction means vulnerability, and vulnerability feels like loss of emotional control. This creates what psychologists call approach avoidance tension. She moves toward what she feels, then retreats to regain balance. The mistake most men make. They chase during the retreat, which removes mystery and collapses attraction. Calm men don't chase emotional fluctuations. They remain stable, and stability allows attraction to grow safely. SIGN3, she tests your emotional reactions. This is where attraction becomes invisible to the untrained eye. She may tease you, challenge you, disagree unexpectedly, bring up small provocations, not because she wants conflict, but because attraction activates evaluation. She is subconsciously asking, can this man handle emotional pressure? Many people equate attraction with approval, but attraction is actually assessment. She watches. Do you become defensive? Do you seek validation? Do you lose composure? Or do you remain calm? Strategic emotional calm signals psychological strength, a trait repeatedly associated with perceived intelligence and authority in social dynamics. If you react emotionally, attraction decreases. If you stay grounded, attraction deepens, often without her realizing why. Because calmness creates emotional gravity. And emotional gravity feels rare. SIGN4, she adjusts herself around you without realizing. Attraction is biological before it is verbal, and the body reacts faster than the ego can regulate. When she's attracted but resisting it, you'll notice something small. She fixes her hair when you approach. She adjusts her posture. She straightens her clothes. She subtly repositions her body toward you. This is not conscious performance. It's nervous system activation. Her body is saying, "Important presence detected." When a woman feels neutral about a man, her body stays neutral. But when attraction exists, especially unexpected attraction, her awareness of herself heightens. She becomes slightly more self-conscious, not insecure, aware. This awareness produces micro-behaviors. Smoothing hair, touching her neck, adjusting sleeves, shifting posture to appear composed. The key detail, she does it quickly, and she often doesn't notice she's doing it because attraction increases self. Now here's what most men do wrong. They react visibly. They smile too hard. They lean in immediately. They reward the signal with obvious pursuit, and that collapses the tension. Remember, attraction grows in psychological space. If she adjusts herself and you remain calm, you create polarity. If she adjusts herself and you escalate instantly, you remove mystery. Calm response tells her, your reaction doesn't to destabilize me, and emotional steadiness is deeply attractive, far more than visible excitement. Why this matters more than you think. Women are biologically wired to read emotional containment. A man who reacts too strongly to attention feels unpredictable. A man who remains composed feels grounded. And grounded men trigger safety plus curiosity at the same time. That combination is rare, and rare things hold attention. IGN 5. She enters your space. 10 old sit. This is where attraction becomes physical, but still indirect. When a woman is not interested, distance remains intact. When she is interested but cautious, proximity increases slowly. You'll notice she stands closer than necessary. She chooses the seat next to you instead of across the table. She angles her body toward you in group settings. She lingers slightly when conversations end. This is proximity testing. She is measuring. Does he move closer aggressively? Does he lean away nervously? Or does he stay grounded? Attraction is not about closing space quickly. It's about tolerating shared space comfortably. When she enters your physical radius, she's testing emotional radius. If you invade her space, suddenly, she retreats. If you freeze awkwardly, tension collapses. But if you remain steady, if you hold your ground without escalation, her nervous system relaxes, and relaxed nervous systems associate their calm with attraction. Here's something subtle. When she's attracted but resisting it, conversations sometimes pause unexpectedly, and the silence doesn't feel awkward. It feels charged. Why? Because attraction creates anticipation, and anticipation heightens awareness. Many men rush to fill silence. They joke. They explain. They overtalk. But silence is psychological gold. Silence is where tension lives. If she stays in silence with you, even briefly without immediately looking for escape, that's interest. Because people do not tolerate charged silence with someone they feel nothing. Why she still won't admit that. Now we're entering the deeper layer. Attraction forces identity change. If she admits, I like him, she must also admit, I am emotionally affected. And emotional influence means vulnerability. For some women, especially high-controlled personalities, vulnerability feels like risk. So instead of admitting attraction, she intellectualizes it. She downplays it. She rationalizes it. She convinces herself it's temporary, but the body continues signaling. And the next sign becomes psychological, not physical. Because now attraction moves from nervous system to emotional investment. IGN 6. She cares who else has your attention. This is where hidden attraction becomes visible, not through affection, through reaction. When a woman is attracted but won't admit it, she begins monitoring your social value, not obviously, subtly. She asks casual questions. Who was that you taught to her Allah? Are you dating anyone? The tone is light, but the attention behind it is it. Jealousy doesn't appear only when love is declared. It appears when emotional territory feels threatened. If she feels nothing for you, other women are irrelevant. If she feels something, but hasn't admitted it, other women become data points. She is scanning for two things. 1. Competition. 2. Your desirability, because attraction increases when a man appears chosen by others. a dynamic rooted in social proof and perceived status signaling. But here's the psychological twist. If she notices other women respond positively to you, two reactions can occur. Attraction intensifies, or defensive detachment activates. If she withdraws slightly after seeing you receive attention, that's not disinterest, that's emotional recalibration. She's protecting herself from investing too fast, and if she becomes subtly sharper, slightly sarcastic, or playfully competitive, that's investment leaking through control. The mistake most men make here. They reassure too quickly. They over-explain. They try to prove exclusivity. They seek to calm her insecurity. But reassurance thoroughly reduces tension, and tension sustains attraction. You don't punish jealousy. You don't reward it excessively either. You remain stable, because emotional steadiness under social pressure signals strength. And strength under emotional fluctuation increases perceived value. SIGN 7. She remembers details you didn't think mattered. This is the quietest sign, and the most powerful. When a woman feels nothing, she forgets easily. When she feels something, even if she denies it, she tracks. She remembers your offhand comment about your childhood, your favorite drink, a random frustration you mentioned once, the day you had an important meeting. Why? Because attention follows emotional significance. You don't memorize what doesn't move you. If she brings up small details weeks later, that is investment. And investment always precedes admission. Even if she says, "We're just friends," her memory says otherwise. Memory is emotional proof. People remember what they value. Behavior. She creates reasons to interact. Here is the ultimate tell. She manufactures small interactions, not dramatic invitations, small openings. A random question, a casual meme, a reason to ask your opinion, a comment on something you posted. Attraction seeks connection. But if she won't admit it, she disguises connection as convenience. She creates plausible deniability. If he responds, fine. If he doesn't, I didn't risk anything. This is controlled vulnerability. She's testing emotional safety without exposing desire. Now, here's the important part. If you respond with over-eagerness, immediate intensity, or emotional confession, you collapse the dynamic. If you respond grounded, measured, and slightly mysterious, you allow her to lean further. Attraction grows in a symmetry of control. The one less reactive holds gravity. Women often don't admit attraction immediately because attraction shifts power internally. It creates vulnerability. It challenges independence. It disrupts certainty. So instead of saying, "I like you," she behaves differently around you. Her nervous system changes. Her attention increases. Her emotional reactions sharpen. Her memory strengthens. Her proximity closes. And if you know how to read behavior instead of demanding confession, you don't need verbal validation. Because real attraction is behavioral before it is declared. Most men chase words. Smart men observe patterns. If she watches you, adjusts herself, moves closer, reacts to other women, remembers small details, and creates excuses to connect, attraction exists, even if admission doesn't. And here's the final truth. The more emotionally controlled you are, the safer she feels, leaning into what she hasn't admitted yet. Calmness is not passive, it is magnetic. In a world of reactive men, the steady man stands out without effort. If this resonated, come in. I stay calm. Because control is attractive, and the man who understands psychological signals never has to chase clarity. He becomes Italiano.